How's it going, YouTube? Welcome back to your favorite aviation channel, and today we are doing an airport update for Peoria International Airport. This is an update that I've wanted to do for quite a while, and I'm pretty excited to be bringing it to you all today. So without further delay, let's go ahead and get started. So because this is a one-time update, I didn't try super hard when it comes to the overall setup, so all we have here is the passenger terminal and nothing else. But I do want to mention that even though the airport's name is Peoria International Airport, it doesn't receive any scheduled passenger or cargo international flights, unfortunately. But it is technically an international airport because it does have a customs and immigration facility. If I'm not wrong, that would be right about here, this little expansion of the terminal that you're seeing. This opened up back in 2021, if I'm not wrong, and so the customs and immigration facility would be in this part of the terminal. Now, this extension is still used by regular domestic flights. It has been in the past, although currently I don't think any of the airlines are using these gates at the moment. But it is still open though. You can access it any time of day. I was able to actually come visit this part of the terminal yesterday from the time I'm filming this video because I flew out of Peoria for the first time yesterday on Allegiant Air. So I was able to see the terminal, see everything, airside that is. So it's a pretty cool experience. If you haven't seen that video yet, go check it out. It should be uploaded by now. I flew Allegiant literally to Denver and right back to Peoria. More on that later. So yeah, Peoria International Airport, I have been here twice before. My first time coming here was in 2011. Actually, this new terminal that you see here, it's not new anymore, but the current terminal was actually built in 2011. So my first time visiting it was shortly after it opened. And the funny story is my grandparents, they were actually supposed to fly Delta out of Bloomington, but I believe on that day the flight got canceled, and so they were rebooked out of Peoria on the next Delta flight to Detroit and then onwards to Newburgh, Stewart, New York. Of course, back then a lot more flights were operating out of these smaller regional airports, so it's much easier to get rebooked on a flight that same day. Of course, that's not the case nowadays, unfortunately. But yeah, 2011, that was my first time visiting Peoria Airport. This terminal was brand new back then, and of course Delta also flew to Peoria back then. They don't anymore because they ended service in 2020. And then I came back to Peoria Airport 4 years later to pick up my grandparents again and drop them off a few weeks later in 2015. Again, they were flying in and out on Delta. They don't fly here anymore again. But yeah, and then I haven't been back to Peoria since 2015 until yesterday when I went back and actually caught a flight on Allegiant. That was my first time, like I said, flying out of Peoria, and it is the nicest airport in downstate Illinois from what I can tell, from what I've seen. Definitely better than Bloomington to Champaign, that's for sure. Of course, it's much bigger than both airports too, but just a very efficient, clean, modern airport. Peoria is the fourth busiest airport in the state of Illinois, behind the Moline Quad Cities Airport, Chicago Midway, and Chicago O'Hare. So it sees about 230-something thousand passengers or so a year. I don't remember what year that number is from, but it sees upwards of 230,000 or so a year. Pretty impressive. I think the Peoria metro area's got a population of like 400 or so thousand, so it not only caters to them, but people from, of course, Bloomington, myself from Champaign, and other parts of central Illinois, and also maybe Iowa as well. So really cool. But as you can see here, rambling a lot here, but as you can see, we have 3 passenger airlines that serve Peoria. You got American, United, and of course Allegiant. Allegiant's the biggest. They got, I think, just about 50% of the total market share, and they have a good amount of destinations. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but you can see everything here. It's a pretty impressive list. I didn't think they were that big in Peoria until I checked the destinations. So yeah, the terminal itself, as you can see, it's got 7 actual jet bridges, but I think it has a few more like ramp boarding gates. So like that gate right there with where the E175 is, that's actually gate 3. But when I was in the terminal, I saw doorways for gates 1 and 2. So I think those would be like ramp gates over there. And then I think that would be gate 4 where the CRJ900 is. That's 5. This one right here where the United CRJ is, that would be gate 6. But for some reason in the terminal, its signage is gate 7. Even on the Peoria Airport website, it's listed as gate 6. So I'm not too sure if it's 6 or 7, I can't tell, but you can see the footage right here that I got in the terminal. The sign literally says gate 7, so I don't know what to think at this point. Next is gate 8. I think that's what that one is, where the Allegiant 320 is, and then this one is gate 10, where the new livery one is. I don't know what happened to gate 9. Moving to the extension, I think this is gate 12, and then there's a 14. And there is also another parking or like stand, like perpendicular like this way, which I didn't put because I don't think there was any point for this update. But yeah, that's how the gates work in Peoria. Again, I'm just going off of what I saw, and also a bit of guesswork. If anybody knows for sure of the things I was confused about, let me know in the comments below. So one more thing I wanted to add was that the old terminal for Peoria, this is the new terminal. It's not new anymore. It was opened in 2011, like I said. Crazy, it's already been 13 years, but it still looks good as new. The old terminal, if I'm not mistaken, it's still technically there. It's behind where this extension is, so it'll be like right behind it. It's where the control tower is. You're seeing this clip right now. That's the new terminal, the current terminal, I should say. And then panning over to the left, this right here, where the tower is, I believe that's the old terminal, which was closed officially back in 2011, or unless it got demolished or something, I can't remember. I can't find any good information about it online, or any good pictures, unfortunately. But in any case, the new terminal is a massive improvement from what I've heard and seen, and yeah, it's a really good facility. Really recommend Peoria as an airport. PIA is the code for it, which is funny because PIA is Pakistan International Airlines, and it's hard for me to say PIA and not think of Pakistan International Airlines. It's pretty funny. And I think the funniest thing is that PIA initially didn't stand for Peoria International Airport, because the airport's original name before the international stuff was Greater Peoria Regional Airport. So the PIA airport code, it's always had PIA as the code. But the PIA technically originally, I believe, designates the 3 letters in Peoria's name, P, and then of course the last 2 letters are IA, so PIA. That's how Peoria Airport had its airport code, 3-letter airport code. But I guess it kind of was a coincidence when it officially gained international status, right, a couple years back, that PIA can now also refer to Peoria International Airport. Of course, that's pretty funny. So it went from Greater Peoria Regional Airport to Peoria International Airport. There aren't any talks of scheduled international airline service coming in the near future, which is unfortunate, but I think if anything could work, it'd probably be like some Apple Vacations seasonal service to like Cancun or Dominican Republic or something like that, like they had up in Rockford, or even in Milwaukee they have TUI or Smart Wings, whatever they are, doing those charter flights. It'd be cool to see those in Peoria, because I think they definitely have the base for it, the customer base for it. So yeah, that's about it for the backstory about the airport. It's already been 8 minutes. I apologize for all this constant rambling, but I always do this in these random airport update setups that I do. So let's go ahead and get into the actual aircraft right now. Alright, so we'll get started over here at gate number 3. We have the American Eagle Embraer 175 operating the Dallas-Fort Worth service. If I'm not wrong, gate 3 is mainly used by the DFW flight, but please correct me if I'm wrong. At gate 4, we have the American Eagle CRJ900 operated by PSA, and this is operating the Charlotte service, one of my favorite routes out of Peoria. I really miss our Charlotte service here in Champaign, but really glad to see Peoria getting Charlotte twice a day on the CRJ900. I believe DFW is also twice a day. But Charlotte is twice a day, was initially started on the CRJ700 if I'm not mistaken, and was later upgauged to the CRJ900. So really cool to see that. Yeah, I think this service mainly uses gate 4, but again, I could be wrong on that. And then pushing back out of gate 5, we have the American Eagle CRJ200, of course operated by Air Wisconsin and wearing the Air Wisconsin House retro livery, heading back to Chicago O'Hare. Of course, American flies this route, I think 2 or 3 times a day, could be more than that, might be mistaken on that, but Chicago currently is served on the CRJ200. I don't believe they'll be upgauging this to Envoy on the E170 anytime soon. Bloomington and Peoria, they're staying on the CRJ200s from Air Wisconsin for the foreseeable future. I think Bloomington might be getting Piedmont on the 145 from Chicago sometime soon. I haven't checked that's in addition to Air Wisconsin, but I haven't checked if that's the same case for Peoria. So as if you couldn't tell, gates 3, 4, and 5 are used by American. The case usually with these smaller regional airports is that it's really predictable to know which gates are used by which airlines, and vice versa, the airlines tend to stick to a specific gate or specific group of gates. So in Peoria's case, it's 3, 4, and 5 for American. And then moving on to gate 6 or 7, whatever gate this is primarily used by United. So right here we have the CRJ200, which is making service also to Chicago O'Hare. They used to have E175s doing this flight back in the day, or not too long ago. I don't think they'll bring those back anytime soon, and I'm not too sure if they have plans to bring those back. But at the moment, it's I think 2 or 3 flights a day on United Express to Chicago O'Hare on the CRJ200. Moving on to gate number 8, we have the Allegiant Airbus A320 in the old livery doing a St. Petersburg Clearwater turn. And then next to that is the new livery A320, which arrived from Nashville, will be making service out to Denver, Colorado. And then from Denver it comes back actually to Peoria and then goes right back to Nashville. So this is the flight that I took yesterday from the time of filming this video. Got on the plane in Peoria at about 8:30 in the morning. Flew to Denver. We got to Denver about 10 o'clock. 10 a.m. Mountain Time, or local time in Denver, about 1 hour behind Peoria's time. And then got back on the plane like 10:50 a.m. Denver time, and then flew right back to Peoria. We landed in Peoria about, it was like 2:40 p.m. So literally just there and back. It was a nice little ticket I got on Allegiant. It wasn't cheap by any means, but if anybody in Peoria wants to do that, you can fly Allegiant to Denver and literally come straight back, because it's the same aircraft for all 4 legs. The plane starts in Nashville, goes to Peoria, like I said, does all that routing, ends the day back in Nashville that evening. So it's really cool aircraft utilization wise. I did a similar thing back in 2018. I flew Frontier from Bloomington to Orlando, and then it was a different plane actually from Orlando to Bloomington. But the idea was there was one plane flying Denver to Bloomington, and the same plane would fly from Bloomington to Orlando. And then similarly, there would be another A319 that would do Orlando, Bloomington, and then continue from Bloomington to Denver. So that was a pretty cool time. Of course, that service doesn't exist anymore. That through flight, I guess, doesn't exist anymore. But Frontier, they will be resuming Bloomington service from Denver. They seem to have cut the Orlando flight for the time being. But this video is about Peoria, not Bloomington. Sorry about that. But yeah, Allegiant's really doing well in Peoria. Same case with Rockford as well. Don't know why I mentioned Rockford, but I just had to. But yeah, they've got a decent amount of flights. I don't think they have any new services starting anytime soon. So yeah. And then just quickly moving on to gates 12 and 14. Like I said, the gates are all open. It's not like this section is closed off completely. I think United used to use this part of the terminal back in the day, or like one of these gates, but they don't anymore because I guess they have less flights. That's just how it was, I guess. But right now, this side of the terminal is not seeing any regular passenger service. And the last aircraft of the update is this UPS Boeing 757-200 freighter. Just landed and just turned off the runway after arrival from Louisville. I don't think I mentioned this earlier in the video, but UPS is the only cargo airline operating regularly to Peoria. They fly 757s and 767-300s, which is really cool. Peoria gets the 767s every so often, a couple times a week. They come in from Louisville, and then they fly actually up to Rockford, which is about a 25 or so minute flight. But yeah, 75s and 76s is what they get here from UPS in Peoria. They used to have a flight to Miami, UPS, on the 767 a couple years ago. I don't think they have that anymore, but at the moment it's just Louisville and Rockford, which is cool because both of those are UPS's 2 biggest hubs, Louisville being number 1 and then Rockford being number 2. So yeah, they got UPS here in Peoria, they got FedEx over in Bloomington, and in Champaign we have nothing. So we've talked about the passenger service operations in Peoria. We've also briefly touched on the cargo operations in Peoria. But what I haven't really mentioned is that this airport is actually home to an Illinois Air National Guard base. The station is right across the field from the passenger terminal, as you can see here. There's the terminal, and then right across the runway there is the Air National Guard base. So it is home to a bunch of C-130Hs. Those are based in Peoria. There's the cargo ramp right there, by the way. But yeah, Peoria does have a bunch of C-130s based there. I've seen them flying around all the time, or not all, but a couple times whenever I've been to Peoria. Occasionally I'd see some C-130s flying over. And here in Champaign, a couple of them have visited in the past to do touch and goes at Champaign Airport. So if you've been a long-time subscriber of the channel, you've probably seen those make an appearance in some of my spotting videos. You can see some B-roll right now of some of the C-130s that have come and done touch and goes in Champaign. Those are loud planes. If you've ever heard a C-130, these things, they are so loud. They would shake the house literally as they'd be flying over. But those are really cool to see. They do still come every now and then again, just to do touch and goes here in Champaign. So pretty cool. Alright, so that brings us to the end of this Peoria airport update. Hope you all enjoyed it, even though it was definitely a bit longer than it should have been for an airport of this size. But again, I hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was informative as well. I've been wanting to do Peoria for a very long time, an update on Peoria, as I might have mentioned earlier in the video. The only reason I never got around to doing it before was because I never had any of the aircraft to do it, especially those like the CRJ-200s here, the American CRJ-9 back there. I didn't have those for the longest time, and of course only recently have I acquired those airplanes, and then of course I never really had time earlier to do an update for Peoria after I had gotten these planes. Really wish Delta still flew here, because I would have loved to put my CRJ-900 in here, or CRJ-200 especially, because Delta flew here from Atlanta and Detroit, I believe, in more recent history. So yeah, but it is what it is. Business is business, and Delta had to pull out because I guess they weren't seeing the same results in Peoria like they were in Bloomington or Moline, for example, which are the two nearest Delta airport destinations to Peoria. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video nonetheless. It was a lot of fun to make. I love doing these smaller regional airports, even though it's not regional anymore, it's international. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Go check out the Allegiant trip report that I did recently from Peoria to Denver and back. A lot of fun in that video. It wasn't a super great on-board experience. I didn't have a window seat on either flight, but it was a fun video to make nonetheless. So check it out if you haven't already. Thanks a lot. But anyways, I do appreciate you all sticking around till the end of this video. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and also comment with your feedback or anything you want to correct me on or talk about. Would love to hear that. But that's it. Thank you all for tuning in once again. Take care, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.